Well, we're joined by Roger Evans of Bovine Scanning Services and co-principal of Nagol Park Shorthorns up there at Tamworth. Roger, thanks so much for your time. Can you just give us a bit of an overview of your stud up there at up there at Tamworth?
Yeah, so we're based at Tamworth. I'm lucky enough to marry a third generation shorthorn breeder with Naomi, and between us and our three boys, we run a small operation of 40 cows that we performance record with, both on a phenotypic level and also on a genomic level as well. So which we use to identify the genetic base of our cattle, that we can supply that information to our cattle buyers in terms of the requirements for their end markets. Yeah. And
as you've touched on there, you've been recording data there in the program there. For how long have you been recording, and what specifically do you record?
Well, basically we've been recording ever since my involvement. So we've been married since 2024 and a couple of years before that. So, and we were lucky enough that we were being involved with Naomi's parents and two brothers and a sister. So we tied all the herds together under one analysis. Now we're lucky enough, we're big enough so that we've been doing it. So yeah, we've been doing it for well over 25 years. And then lately we moved into the genomic as well, just to give us a bigger picture of the genetic level and genetic base of our cattle that we're selling with our producers.
And you've had a lot of success over the time. How has that performance recording sort of helped, sort of tie in with the success that you've had over time?
Well, I suppose that the initial thing with recording is you find out what you've got in your herd and where your base level is, where you start from. In our case, our slight deficiency was scrotal with one of our foundation females. So it allowed us to identify the genetics which could improve that trait, so that we could improve that in the progeny from the cattle that we're producing, and then so on for the people that are producing from those bulls that we sell. But also helps us to identify, what we need to do and in what animals we can find that will actually improve our seed stock that we can then breed from.
And that's becoming more and more relevant. I mean, more and more buyers are very conscious of figures and using that as a selection tool, aren't they?
Yeah, well, it's a bit like buying a car. Like when you go and buy a car, you work out whether you want a four-wheel drive or a two-wheel drive or a hatchback or a family wagon. The same thing, like once you find that, so whether you want it, say if it's a dual cab ute, then how big a motor do you want? Whether you want to tow, whether you want it to bash around the sticks or whatever. So it's about identifying the genetic along with the phenotypic characteristics of your animals in relation to your environment and the production system you're trying to produce for.
Absolutely. And with your business, Bovine Scanning Service, I mean, you scan thousands of bulls all over the country each year. What's the conversations like with your clients and, around, I mean, I guess that's sort of scanning for raw data, but around their figures and their sort of compilations of genetic information?
Yeah, so how it's gone is that, we've involved with the collection of raw phenotypic scan data, so P8, 12/13th rib fat, eye muscle area and intramuscular fat, and from that the producers, if they do a whole group of bulls and a whole group of heifers for that year, they can get an indication of what sire lines are either producing more EMA, more IMF for the same carcass weight. So if they've got a producer that's coming to buy cattle, say for the long fed, high marbling markets, then they can identify what bulls are most suited for those producers in terms of what are going to best suit their production system.
Absolutely. I mean, a lot of people use figures and phenotype in their selection process. Just give us an insight into your selection process when you're out there looking for your next sire.
Okay, so we use basically three levels of information. So we use the phenotype, so we like to see the confirmation. Does that animal fit what we aesthetically like to see in our cattle? Then we look at pedigree, so we can see in terms of what's back in generations previous in that animal to make sure there's nothing that sort of glares up or that we don't start getting too tight with our breeding in terms of inbreeding or line breeding. Then we also look at the genomic data or genetic data, which is a compilation of stuff from now in our cattle. It used to be breed plan, but it's now with IGS with EPDs. Which is a compilation of the phenotypic data, so phenotypic data and also genomic data.
Yeah, wow, and likewise, I mean, and that's, I guess, sort of the same theory across all breeders, isn't it?
Yeah. So the whole idea about collecting data is to be able to identify what you've got and then supply that information so that the people that are coming to buy, say, bulls from us, can pick the right animals so that their compliance for their progeny into their target market is as high a level as possible.
Absolutely. And do you see that with your clients and when they come and look at your bulls and buy your bulls? I mean, you offer bulls here at the National Shorthorn Sale. You've got your inaugural bull sale this year. You obviously offer that information. Are your clients utilising that information that you provide them?
Most definitely. And it's, different people have different weightings on how much emphasis they put on phenotype and pedigree and genetic information, but they're all tools that we can use to really hone our selection in terms of where we want to go with what we're. And the challenge for us as a small herd is that we have one sire. We use some AI sires as well, a bit of ET work, but we're probably not lucky that we sort of don't have that luxury of having 200-300 cows where we can. It's a bit easy to put different bulls into the program to supply cattle for the different markets who we have here in Australia.
Absolutely. We, as we just touched on there, we've just concluded the sale here at Dubbo. We had a wonderful spread of commercial and stud buyers from all across the country. Every one of them had their heads in the catalogue looking at figures and matching them to the phenotype, weren't they?
Exactly, and it's you can see the prices reflective that cattle with good phenotype, with good genetic information that suited a production system, and the buyers were prepared to pay a bit extra money for it. And it also helps that the whole industry is at a very buoyant level, but that's going to come down eventually. It's never going to stay really high. It's cyclical. So if we at this time can go forward and increase our selection pressure on where we need to go, we're going to be in better stead when the things turn a little bit tougher. So we actually make sure we're making the most of what we're producing.
Absolutely, Rog. In closing, any advice for breeders out there that are thinking about going down this track or and utilising information and data, EBVs, etc.?
I think it's a very important. To us, it's an important part of our production system, and it's not the be all and end all. And I suppose there is a bit of a fad that at this stage people try and use it as a marketing tool only.
Yep.
That's one component of it, but it's about identifying the genetics that are best suited for your production system under the environment you're doing. So, I think it's a very important part of the system, and the challenge is to work out how much emphasis you put on it. As I said, we like to see what's it wake up and really like what we see in the paddock, and then we work through with the pedigree and the genetic information to match that as well. So hopefully that we can get as much, by fine tuning it, then we can put as high quality product out in the marketplace as we can. Yeah,
which you always do. Thanks so much, Rog, for your time. Appreciate that, and all the best with your upcoming sale. And thanks so much for your time.
I appreciate it. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Rog.